Hello, music fans. You're watching Death by Unicorn, where we talk about metal, rock, and prog music. And this is New Music's Alive in 2025. I'm going to talk about 9 new albums that came out over the past week and give my quick first impressions of them. And I'll talk about them in my order of preference, starting with Hail the Sun and their new album, Cut, Turn, Fade Back. This is the 7th album by this American post-hardcore emo screamo band. They've got progressive rock and math rock influences as well. And I'm putting this one in my near masterpiece tier. This is a band that I love. I saw Hail the Sun with Between the Buried and Me recently. They put on an amazing show. It's kind of a weird combo because Between the Buried and Me is like really insane, technical, progressive metalcore, and Hail the Sun is more on that post-hardcore emo side. But they both kind of have some similar DNA and overlap. They both have guitar pyrotechnics and intricate songwriting and progressive compositions and time signature changes and stuff like that. And they both put on an amazing show. Honestly, I think Hail the Sun is getting up there as one of the best post-hardcore emo bands around right now. All the singles from this album were great, so I was really looking forward to this. And I love all of Hail the Sun's albums, and continues their streak of greatness. They do mostly clean vocals with catchy hooks and that high-pitched emo vocal style. I know that could be a little grating for some people, that kind of vocal style, or kind of cringeworthy. I understand that. Sometimes it can grate on me too, but the vocal performances are technically great. They also have some harsh vocals from time to time when they want to get heavy. And when they do, they can get heavy enough to start a mosh pit. But that's not really what this band's about. The guitar playing is fast, the riffs are intricate, and the songs are emotional but catchy. And they're approaching the greatness of Chiodos and Idola in that kind of scene, and I think they're already better than Dance Gavin Dance for me at this style of fast guitar post-hardcore. I think Hail the Sun and Greyhaven are both on course now to take the crowns for this style. If they can put out 1 or 2 more albums as great as this, they'll kind of cement themselves as some of the best bands in this scene of post-hardcore stuff with the fast guitars and all that. So if that sounds good to you, check out Cut, Turn, Fade Back by Hail the Sun. And next up, I want to talk about a live album. It's Leprous with An Evening of Atonement. This is a great Norwegian progressive metal band, and I'm putting this live album in my excellent tier. I love Leprous, and I really enjoyed listening to this. I enjoyed this possibly even a tad more than I enjoyed the studio album Melodies of Atonement, which is something I already love, but is probably my least favorite of their studio albums, because everything Leprous has done is a near masterpiece or full-on masterpiece for me. Except Melodies of Atonement maybe didn't quite make it there as great as their other stuff for me. But this is a recording of their February 7th, 2025 concert in Tilburg, Netherlands. The set list they picked was great. It features tracks from each of their 8 studio albums, and it's over 2 hours long, so a good lengthy set list. And they picked a lot of the best tracks, like Silently Walking Alone from Melodies of Atonement, Illuminate and From the Flame from Melina, Castaway Angels from Aphelion. They're all performed amazingly well. I contemplated also calling this a near masterpiece tier 1 too, because I like some of these live tracks even better than their studio versions, but I'm not usually a big live album person, and I do still think some of the studio versions may be better for some of these tracks. So I'm just calling it excellent tier. Next up, I have an EP by an amazing band called Rolo Tomassi, and the EP is called In the Echo of All Dreams. This is a British mathcore band. They've got progressive rock, post-metal, post-rock, metalcore, pop, gent, industrial metal, and post-hardcore influences. And this one I'm putting in my excellent tier. I love Rolo Tomassi, great female vocals here. All of their albums for me are near masterpieces, and they're just a very consistent band in quality. And this EP continues my love for them. Eva Corman's ability to sing beautifully and scream with the best of them continues to impress me. And the EP is only 15 minutes long, though, so I just wish it was longer. If it was a full album length, I'd give it a near masterpiece rating, but since it's so short and leaves me wanting more, I'm just going to put it in my excellent tier for now. If you're a fan of Pupil Slicer, I Wrestled a Bear Once, The Dillinger Escape Plan, The Number 12 Looks Like You, and Fall of Troy, definitely check out this EP by Rolo Tomassi called In the Echo of All Dreams. Next up, I want to mention Psychonaut and their album Worldmaker, the third album by this Belgian band, and it's progressive post-metal with atmospheric sludge metal influences. I'm putting this in my excellent tier. And I've never listened to an album by Psychonaut before, but I love the singles I heard ahead of time. If you're a fan of The Ocean, Cult of Luna, and Mastodon, you got to check this out. This track, Endless Currents, has a great riff, great build-up throughout the song, where it starts out beautiful, peaceful, and hypnotic with clean vocals for the vast majority of the song. Then at the end of the song, it gets heavy and powerful with harsh vocals. They're on the same label as The Ocean, which is Pelagic Records, and I think members of The Ocean actually run that label. So I'd say The Ocean is the closest comparison to this band, and if you like the sounds of that, check out Worldmaker by Psychonaut. And last one for my excellent tier today, before I start talking about some that didn't quite make it into that tier, I'm going to talk about Flaming Row and their album Keeper of the Scriptures, the fourth album by this German band. And this is a progressive metal rock opera with folk rock and symphonic influences. If you're a fan of Arion and Everon, definitely check this out. It's an epic progressive metal rock opera with multiple vocalists, both male and female vocals, very cinematic and theatrical and conceptual. Flaming Row does all clean vocals here. There's lots of great guitar pyrotechnics on here too. This wasn't on Spotify last I checked, but I listened to it on Bandcamp. And they made a version in English as well as a version in German. I listened to both, and they're both excellent. I'm even considering calling them near masterpieces, but I'm just not sure of that yet. I need some more listens here. There's a lot of music to digest here, but it's great. It's epic and theatrical. I think maybe people who don't like the kind of cheesy rock opera theatricality stuff might be turned off by this a little bit. But if you like that kind of thing, you're going to love this. And if you can look past some of the musical theater, theatrical cheesiness of it, I think the musicianship and performances are undeniably amazing and impressive here from Flaming Row on Keeper of the Scriptures. Now let's talk about my very good tier for this week, which has Serj Tankian and his compilation called Covers, Collaborations, and Collages. Serj Tankian, of course, is best known for being the System of a Down vocalist, and this is an odds and ends type album for him. Of course, this is kind of like just a rock album with alternative metal, hard rock, acoustic, electronic, classical, and progressive rock influences. So it's kind of weird, kind of odds and ends, a lot of different vibes to the tracks, but at its core, it's a rock album. Some of the stuff he does in his solo career is more like he does some classical albums and film scores. He does like a jazz album from time to time. He does some experimental stuff. But usually I like his alternative metal and rock stuff the best. But I kind of like that he dabbles in all of these things. This album here features 3 collaborative songs with Deadmau5, Bic Runga, and Lucas Vital. And it features a few covers and then some songs that are considered collages. I'm not quite sure what he means by collages, but I'm a big System of a Down fan. I saw them live this year, and I also enjoy some of Serj's solo work, particularly his first 3 solo albums, which are excellent, and the one from last year, the Foundations EP, which was very good for me as well. So I checked this out, and it was surprisingly better than I expected for an odds and ends type of album. It's not quite as good as his first 3 solo albums. Of course, nowhere near as good as anything System of a Down does, but it's a very good collection of tracks on par with last year's Foundations EP. So check out Covers, Collaborations, and Collages by Serj Tankian if that sounds good to you. And last one in my very good tier for today, I've got Lars Fredrik Froislie with Quattro Racconti. This is a re-recording of an earlier album that Lars Fredrik Froislie made. Lars is, of course, a Norwegian progressive rock artist, best known for being the keyboard player of Wobbler. And this one's very good. It's the new version of his debut solo album. This time he's got the Italian singer Stefano Lupo Gallifi from the legendary band Museo Rosenbach on vocals here. And so the original version of this album is called Fire Fortellinger, and that was released in 2023, and that one's in Norwegian. But Lars got the opportunity here to do one of the songs in Italian with Gallifi, and started with Un posto sotto il cielo as the first track that they released. And then later, when Wobbler played a festival in Italy in 2024, he went to visit Gallifi and recorded vocals for the rest of the album. So if you're not familiar with the original Fire Fortellinger album, it's 4 rather long songs inspired mainly by medieval and Renaissance music, as well as Italian prog rock from the 70s. Nikolai Hangsley plays the bass and Lars plays everything else. The first and last songs are both prog epics at just over 16 minutes in length. But on this version, the lyrics are all in Italian instead of Norwegian. The vocals are done by Stefano Lupo Gallifi instead of by Lars himself. And I think that makes it a big improvement because the vocals were the weak link on the original album from Lars for me. And that's kind of what made me put the original album just in my good tier. It didn't even make it to my very good tier. The music on here is very good quality, but the vocals on the original were just kind of average or a bit below average. It held me back from my very good tier. But on this version, the vocal quality is very good. It matches the music. So I'm giving this one my very good tier rating. Now jumping down to my good tier, I've just got 2 more albums left to talk about there. Big Wreck released The Rest of the Story, the 8th album by this Canadian band. It's alternative rock with progressive blues and grunge influences. This is in my good tier, and this is a band I'm not super familiar with, but I listened to their 7.3 EP in 2023. I thought it was good. Didn't go back to it much. For this new album, I enjoyed the singles I heard from this, so I put it on my list to check out. And Ian Thornley's vocals on this and the lead guitars in this band are just amazing. Check out the lead guitars on the tracks Believer and Holy Roller. They're both singles from this album. They've got a bit of a Van Halen vibe to them, especially on Holy Roller. So all in all, it's a good album. Everything on here, when I listen to it, it's impressing me, and it's good, catchy songs, great guitar playing, great singing, but kind of lacked anything like super memorable or original or innovative to keep me coming back. And last one I want to talk about is by Randy McStine. It's an EP called My Summer Holiday. He's an American artist. It's alternative rock with indie, pop, prog rock, and kind of singer-songwriter influences. I'm putting this in my good tier as well. And I should say that every album that I talked about today is like really enjoyable. So even like this being the last one I talk about and my least favorite of the bunch, it's still a really strong release. Randy McStine's an American guitarist and singer. He's worked with several different projects, but most notably recently is playing with Steven Wilson on The Overview, and also was a touring guitarist with Porcupine Tree. Now, I like this EP. I like everything I've heard from Randy, but nothing is ever kind of special enough or unique enough or innovative enough or even catchy enough to keep me hooked and coming back and over again. Randy's talent as a guitarist, singer, and songwriter, though, is undeniable, but I'd love to hear him do some more risky, interesting, memorable stuff for me to really sink my teeth into. I look forward to hearing what he does next, and I want to hear him do some more adventurous stuff. I can tell he's capable of it, but this is really enjoyable. If you like his stuff from before, you'll probably like this. That's My Summer Holiday by Randy McStine. And that's it for my first impressions of these 9 new albums that came out over the past week. What do you think of these? Let me know down in the comments. Which one's your favorite? Which one's your least favorite? Did I inspire you to check any of them out? And what do you think of them if you do check them out? I always like to know if I've turned people on to new music. And did I miss anything great that came out recently? Also, let me know if you think I would like something that I didn't talk about yet. And if you like metal, rock, and prog music, you're in the right place. I talk about my first impressions of new stuff that comes out usually every week. And my next video in this series, I'll be talking about new stuff from Carphagen, Same Fears, Unprocessed, Trivium, Lunatic Soul, Gazpacho, Neil Morse, Wilt Wither, Danheim, and Florence and the Machine. So if you want to hear my first impressions of those, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and stay in the loop on when I post new videos. And until then, peace out.